The rune of Wrath and Ruin is very strong, but it has a very long cooldown, so you better use it to its maximum potential every time you cast. For a reference of how strong the normal cast is, it's enough to kill goblins, but not Empire State troops, averaging around 60 damage near the center of the spell, which is different from the damage shown in the game logs. I'll get to that later in the video. But anyways, that's the damage to chaff out of the way. How does the spell do against armored infantry? Well, to properly go over that, I'll want to dig into the numbers. The normal cast does 60 damage, and 40% of that is armor piercing. As for the overcast, it does 20% more damage, and 66% is armor piercing. This means overcasting will do 20 to 100% more damage depending on the armor of your target. And considering the fact that overcasting increases the cooldown by 50%, armor and unit cost is a pretty important factor. If you're looking at pure damage numbers, the point where the 50% cooldown is worth the overcast happens exactly at 80 armor. But since most high armored units cost quite a bit, it's generally more optimal to just cast on the most expensive target, factoring in their armor to decide if you want to overcast or not. For example, if you compare the value you get hitting Harganeth Executioners and Bleak Swords, you're basically getting twice as much value overcasting on the Executioners. So despite being quite strong against chaff, this spell is actually meant for elite infantry. Entities of cavalry are quite a bit tankier, so you might think Wrath and Ruin isn't that good versus them. But actually, due to a quirk of how the damage works in this game, cavalry take more damage per entity than infantry. So a normal cast of Wrath and Ruin can take any light cavalry very low, and overcasting starts to kill Centaur models. That's over 108 damage. But while this is a lot of damage, you should think of it more as an equalizing factor between infantry and cavalry. The rules stay more or less the same, where you want to be targeting the most expensive unit and overcasting if they have armor. Of course, the spell has a longer wind-up time too, and it won't be nearly as effective against thin formations, but I hope this information was useful to you nonetheless. Now, if you enjoyed this analysis and you're wondering why this spell does more damage to cavalry than infantry, you should check out this video where there's a similar phenomenon with Burning Head. Or alternatively, if you want to see a similar analysis for the other runes, you should check out my channel to see if I've posted those videos yet.